K1 community, good evening. We are going to do Acts 23 tonight. Just again, sort of a summary commentary. But in Acts 23, really like 22 and really is happening in 21. I mean, we're really talking about Paul in Jerusalem and he's going through, uh, Jews not liking him, trying to get the Romans to kill him. And now they're conspiring to kill him. And then the Romans are sort of protecting him. And so in 23, he's going to leave Jerusalem. On his way, basically, he's going to make it to Caesarea. And the end of it's going to be Felix, I guess the Roman ruler up there, waiting for the accusers to arrive, the other Jews. Excuse me, because they can't really figure out what's going on. What's all the hubbub? And so this is a whole chapter of hubbub, but we're really going to read through it pretty quickly. We got a couple things to pay attention to, and that is we're going to have Jesus showing up and standing beside Paul at one point and talking to him. But we're going to see how the Romans were really used, to help Paul, help the gospel. And we're going to see that the Jewish unbelievers, that hatred level is just so high, inordinately high. And we could say, well, it would be ordinate, it would be expected or ordinary based on Paul really creating a bunch of confusion in the Jewish religion. So one way or the other, we're going to roll through it. It's going to be pretty quick, and I don't have a real big intro to this one. That was it. I'm going to go ahead and take my beautiful face off there. Glad y'all got to see me. Okay, 23, verse 1. 23, 28, we got 5 more chapters. So think about where we've come so far. We started this story without Paul even in the story. And then he showed up in the story and was a bad guy. And then came Jesus, and then he's had 3 little missionary journeys. And, which have taken him basically all the way over to Athens and Greece, Corinth, Philippi, and whatnot, Thessalonica. So let's hop here. Verse 1. And Paul earnestly beholding the council. Okay, so he's in Jerusalem. Now he's in with the Romans. But the Romans are calling in the people that are having the complaint against them. We're all but killing Paul out in the courtyard that the soldiers rescued him from. So he's really in a Roman situation, but it's nonetheless the Jews fussing for, right? That's what we're going to see. And Paul, earnestly beholding the council, Jews, said, Men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before God unto this day. And the high priest Ananias commanded them that stood by him to smite him in the mouth. Well, that's not very nice. Now, what a high priest is, now this Jesus is our high priest. The high priest that was ruling in the temple who's denied Jesus, right? So he's on the bad team. They're bad, right? They rejected Christ and et cetera, et cetera. Now they're like smack Paul. Then said Paul unto him, God shall smite thee, thou whited wall. For sittest thou to judge me after the law, and commandest me to be smitten contrary to the law? And they that stood by said, Revilest thou God's high priest? See, now Paul knows that Jesus is the high priest by now. And this is the high priest of the religion. So basically, Paul's fixing to make a statement here. Then said Paul, I wist not, brethren, that he was the high priest. For it is written, Thou shalt not speak evil of the ruler of thy people. Now, Ananias was around with Jesus. But Paul had to know this high priest, Ananias. And Paul's like, I didn't know that he was a high priest. Maybe he didn't. I mean, Paul worked for the church. So maybe he didn't hear where the comment came from. I don't know. A little funny. But here's doctrine. So there's only a few doctrine pieces really we're gonna pull out of here. Here's Paul reinforcing, thou shalt not speak evil of the ruler of that people. We'll find it in other places that our ruler, which is this dude, not this dude who called this dude a clown and a liar and an idiot and everything else. But I've called him a clown and an idiot. I'm not throwing a rock. I'm just saying. I'm just putting pictures with the slides because this is really a straightforward chapter. But when Paul perceived that the one part were Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out in the council. So here's again, and when Paul perceived, would Paul not have perceived this right off the bat? So council comes in, the people are coming in, they're Pharisees. I mean, he would have picked this up right off the bat. They'd have been dressed different. Right? Paul's a Pharisee. Okay. Well, let's keep going. When he perceived that one part were Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out in the council, men and brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee, of the hope and resurrection of the dead. I am called in question. So he's saying these Sadducees are calling me into question about my hope in the resurrection. And his hope in the resurrection is actually the resurrected Christ. Pharisees ain't gonna go for that either. But he's pulling up this whole conflict between the Sadducees. He's stirring up the pot to get everybody cooking. Pharisees are all about the law, Sadducees about the temple. Upper class versus middle class. These guys are sort of secularists, no resurrection, no afterlife. Okay, these guys naturally going to be tied in with the true Jewish leaders, not so much over here. But anyway, Paul's just dealing with the Pharisees and Sadducees, getting them stirred up. And when he had so said, there arose a dissension between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the multitude was divided. So you got fancy pants Sadducees, you got a holy roller Pharisees, and the Essenes. These dudes are seen. These are dudes living outside of community, basically, out isolating themselves to try to be holy. For the Sadducees say there's no resurrection, neither angel nor spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. So clearly, Paul's spearing them up about angels and spirits. Look, I put these gross pictures up here because look at these. What we got? Naked angel. What's happening here? Is this porno angel? What's going on? We know what's going on. We live in a creeped out world, people. Ain't no women angels. All this stuff is Eastern, whatever, but it's all spiritual. And when you're talking about, man, that's a spiritual life these days, dude, if you ain't talking about Jesus, you're just not quite sure. You might have the whole enlightenment pentagram. All right, I got distracted by the pictures. Sorry. Verse 9. And there arose a great cry, and the scribes that were of the Pharisees' part arose and strove, saying, we find no evil in this man. But if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him, let us not fight against God. Whew. They must not know what Paul said. So Pharisees are backing up their Pharisee boy. And when there arose a great dissension, the chief captain, okay, the Romans fixing to get back involved. All right, hang on. So when there arose a great dissension, fearing lest Paul should have been pulled in pieces of them, commanded the soldiers to go down and take him up by force from among them and to bring him into the castle. So castles attached to the temple. 11. And the night following, the Lord stood by him and said, dude, this ain't a vision. Jesus is showing up. Be of good cheer, Paul, for as thou hast testified of me in Jerusalem, so must thou bear witness also in Rome. Now, I feel like I'm out of sync with this chapter because Hey, Paul, be of good cheer. You know how you testified here? And all these people now want to kill you and they're wrestling you and about to tear you apart. Guess what? You're also got to go do the same thing in Rome. Attaboy, be of good cheer. Be of good cheer for what? Oh, be of good cheer because Paul loves Jesus and he saved him. He's glad to witness, hoping that some might hear and believe and come to Christ. Right? That he actually gets called upon to serve the Lord. That really is the reason to be of good cheer. If you're thinking circumstances, I don't think Paul's thinking that. I was thinking, man, to be counted worthy to serve the Lord, that's a big deal. Man, for Paul to be counted worthy to do what he's doing, how big of a deal is that? It's a big deal. Be a good cheer. Most people wouldn't be a good cheer. Think it was bad in Jerusalem, dude. Wait till you get to Rome. Verse 12. And when it was day, certain of the Jews banded together and bound themselves under a curse, saying that they would neither eat nor drink till they had killed Paul. And there were more than 40, which made this conspiracy, not a theory. This is what I'm thinking the evil Jews under the vow might have looked like. And of course, this we all know. Picture me. No, conspiracy. 40 people conspiring secretly. And they came to the chief priests and elders and said, we have bound ourselves under a great curse. Curse? That we will eat nothing until we have slain Paul. Murder? What's going on here? Suicide bomber? Let's see, verse 15. Now, therefore, ye with the council signified to the chief captain, the Roman, so you get the council to signal the chief captain that he bring him, Paul, down unto you tomorrow, as though you would inquire something more perfectly concerning him. And we, or ever he come near, are ready to kill him with an RPG. No RPGs. And when Paul's sister's son, man, I love the Bible. Think about this. This is a technical book from God. Yeah. Paul, he has a sister. Now, the sister, her son, not the daughter, not that crazy son, but that young son. You know the one with the curly hair. Yeah, that's the one, right? Paul's sister's son heard of their lying in wait. These conspirators were really sneaky. He went and entered into the castle and told Paul. Then Paul called one of the centurions and him, hey, and said, bring this young man unto the chief captain, for he hath a certain thing to tell him. Paul is using the Romans nonstop throughout his whole experience. He's no problemo working with the Romans. So he took him and brought the kid. So he took the kid and brought the kid to the chief captain and said, Paul the prisoner called me unto him and prayed me to bring this young man unto thee, who hath something to say unto thee. Then the chief captain took him by the hand and went with him aside privately and asked him, what is it thou hast to tell me? And he said, the Jews have agreed to desire thee that thou wouldest bring down Paul tomorrow into the council, as though they would inquire somewhat of him more perfectly. But do not thou yield unto them, for there lie in wait for him of them more than 40 men, which have been bound themselves with an oath, that they will neither eat nor drink till they have killed him. And now are they ready, looking for a promise from thee. So the chief captain then let the young man depart and charged him, see that thou tell no man, shh, that thou hast showed these things to me. And he called unto him 2 centurions, saying, make ready 200 soldiers to go to Caesarea, and horsemen 60 and 70 horsemen. and spearmen, 200 spearmen with the soldiers and the horsemen at the third hour of the night. What was that, like 9 o'clock? And provide them beasts that they may set Paul on and bring him safe unto Felix the governor. All right, so they're in Jerusalem. Now, Caesarea is sort of the Roman capital over there by the sea, south of Tyre and all that stuff. So that's where Felix the governor is. And he wrote a letter after this manner: Claudius Lysias, unto the most excellent governor Felix, sendeth greeting. This man was taken of the Jews, and should have been killed of them. Then came I with an army, and rescued him, having understood that he was a Roman. And when I would have known the cause wherefore they accused him, I brought him forth into their council, whom I perceived to be accused of questions of their law, but to have nothing laid to his charge worthy of death or of bonds. And when it was told me how that the Jews laid in wait for the man, I sent straightway to thee, and gave commandment to his accusers also to say before thee what they had against him. Farewell. I got the yawns. 5 more verses. Then the soldiers, as it was commanded them, took Paul and brought him by night to Antipos, Mediterranean Sea, Jerusalem, smoked it over here to Antipos on the border between Samaria and Judea. Then they took them all up to Caesarea. On the morrow, they left the horsemen to go with him and returned to the castle. So they got him here, and the next day, the horsemen took Paul on up, I guess, and the others went back to Jerusalem. Who, when they came to Caesarea and delivered the epistle to the governor, presented Paul also before him. And when the governor had read the letter, he asked of what province he was. And when he understood that he was of Cilicia, so we're over here. Syria, Israel's down here. Paul, where are you from? Well, I'm from Cilicia, this coastal area of Turkey, Asia Minor. Okay. 35. He's like, I'll hear thee, said he, when thine accusers are also come. And he commanded him to be kept in Herod's judgment hall. I don't really know Herod's judgment hall. Is it where these ladies or statues or some out here sitting out in the pool? I don't really know. It said so. But I'm not, what does the internet know? But this is like Herod's castle. Or not temple, but Herod's castle? No. Something. Anyway, this is like Herod's spot. He's got the racy place. He's got the theater place. He's got it all. But that is the end of 23. So that's the entire story, right? So he ended up here waiting for Jews to come accuse him. We got a little travel story. He was traveling because the people were trying to kill him. These Jews were all sneaky, conspiring to kill him from the Romans. But the Romans, well, they're taking care of him. And they're moving him along. And when Paul did go try to talk more to these people, he didn't really talk to them, did he? We didn't hear anything about telling them about Jesus, or he just stirred up. When the council of the Jews came in, all he did was split them up between Pharisees and Sadducees. So we really didn't get a lot of anything other than Jesus like, hey man, be of good cheer. You know what you did here in Jerusalem? You're fixing to go do it up in Rome. And a couple things kids know. People trying to ambush. We definitely had some conspiring going on. God talking to him was definitely the best part. These angel thing, man, messed up. Sadducees and Pharisees. I guess we got a little bit of the difference between those two. This is probably really doctrinally. He talks about having to, honor your ruler. And we got this religious dude here. And that's where we all started. So pretty simple, pretty clean, pretty lean. Acts 23. Man, we only got 5 more chapters. All right. Well, that's it. God bless. Y'all probably pulling some deeper nuggets than me. Um, be glad to get any feedback. All right. Take care. Good night.